mother, a child, and a single small flame, sealed inside a dome of snow while the world outside turns to killing cold. Beyond those walls, the air is so brutal it can freeze exposed skin in under a minute, and the wind never stops screaming. So ask yourself this: how could a house built entirely from snow keep that family alive through an Arctic winter cruel enough to kill a grown man in the open? Look out across this land and it seems impossible. The horizon dissolves into drifting ice and frozen mist. Trees never grow, and there is no timber for fire, no stone for walls, no metal waiting to be shaped into shelter. Winter drives the temperature far below -40, and the wind chill pushes it lower still, into one of the most unforgiving places on the entire planet. To almost any civilization, survival here would seem hopeless. Yet for thousands of years, the Inuit did far more than survive. They turned this frozen wasteland into a place they called home. Their greatest invention was not carved from wood or cut from stone, but shaped from the one material most of us would dismiss as fragile and fleeting: snow itself. And the true mystery is not how they built the igloo, but why a shelter made of frozen snow could outlast homes built from stronger things. To understand that, you must answer 3 quiet questions. What kind of snow could hold a roof? Why did the dome never fall? And why did every storm only make it stronger? So we return to the first question. What kind of snow could ever hold a roof? To most of us, snow is the last thing on earth you would trust to build a home. It crumbles in your hands, melts in the sun, and vanishes with the season, while wood feels stronger and stone feels permanent. Yet, in the high Arctic, both of those trusted materials become deadly liabilities, and the fragile thing wins. The Inuit understood something science would only later explain, which is that not all snow is the same. The material they searched for was pukajak, wind-packed snow crushed for months under the pressure of relentless storms, until millions of tiny crystals locked together into dense, load-bearing blocks strong enough to carry the weight of a grown adult. But the real magic lived in what those blocks still hid inside them: countless microscopic pockets of trapped air. Air is one of nature's finest insulators, so instead of letting precious body heat escape, the snow slowed that heat to a crawl and built an invisible wall between the warmth within and the killing cold outside. Solid ice does the opposite, pulling warmth away many times faster, which is why a house carved from ice would have become a beautiful frozen prison. And this knowledge was never written in any book. It passed instead through a father's hands as he knelt beside his child in the wind, teaching them to press a slender antler probe into the drift and read the resistance, and to listen for the crisp, scratching song of the panna, the snow knife, as it sliced through crystals bonded just right. In that moment, instinct became science, and a child learned to hear what the land was quietly trying to say. Once the right blocks were cut, the second question waited to be answered. Why did the dome never fall? The secret was that the Inuit never stacked their blocks in flat, horizontal rings the way we might build a wall. Instead, they carved a gentle ramp into that very first row and let every block spiral upward in one continuous rising curve, each piece leaning on the one below while locking tight against the one beside it, so the structure held itself together even as it grew. Then came a quiet act of genius. As each block settled into place, the builder pressed it firmly with the palm of a bare hand, and that brief warmth melted the thinnest whisper of snow at the seam. In seconds, the Arctic cold refroze it, welding neighbor to neighbor until the whole dome became a single, seamless shell. The final piece was the king block, a wedge lowered carefully into the opening at the crown, and the moment it locked into place, gravity stopped being the enemy. Now, every force, the shove of hurricane winds, the weight of fresh snowfall, was redirected downward through pure compression, the one kind of stress-packed snow can bear better than almost anything. Long before engineers gave this shape a name and called it a catenary arch, the Inuit had already mastered it with nothing but snow and inherited skill. And here, at last, the third question answers itself. Families sealed the outside with loose powdered snow, and as warmth met the freezing air, those crystals fused and hardened, closing every gap. Each new blizzard pressed that shell tighter still. Nature was never trying to destroy the igloo. With every storm, it was quietly building it stronger. Now comes the deepest truth of all, the one that overturns everything we assume about warmth. An igloo was never warm because snow makes heat. It was warm because it refused to let heat leave. The Inuit understood that survival did not depend on making more warmth, but on guarding every precious degree a human body already gives off, and every part of the shelter was designed to do exactly that. It began at the door, which did not open into the living space at all, but descended through a low tunnel beneath the floor. Because cold air is heavier than warm, it sank and pooled inside that passage, forming a silent cold trap that kept freezing drafts from ever reaching the family. Inside, the floor rose in careful levels, and the highest platform, where they slept and lived, sat in the warmest layer of air gathering beneath the dome. There, the temperature could hold between 10 and 15 degrees Celsius, while storms outside raged at 50 below. At the heart of it burned the quillic, a soapstone lamp fed with seal oil, giving off a heat so gentle it melted the inner walls by a fraction of a millimeter, only for the cold to refreeze them into a glassy skin that reflected warmth back like a mirror. Skins of caribou hung along the walls added a second layer of insulation, and a single block of clear freshwater ice served as a window for soft Arctic light. And this same wisdom reached beyond the walls, for they did not fight the cold, they used it. Where no plant could grow, fermented food like kiviak delivered vitamins, nothing else could, and thread spun from caribou sinew swelled when damp, sealing every needle hole tighter the wetter it became. And yet, for all its brilliance, an igloo was never truly defined by its walls of snow. Its real strength was the people gathered inside. Each morning began with quiet rituals of care, fresh snow laid over the floor to brighten it and throw the lamp's glow across the dome, scraps shared out, so that nothing in this world of scarcity was ever wasted. And when whole communities came together, they raised something greater still, the quajik, a vast communal igloo wide enough to hold dozens of people. There, beneath a single dome of snow, stories were passed down, drums echoed, and throat singing carried through the long polar night, and in that shared warmth, survival became something more than shelter. It became belonging. For the igloo was never only an ingenious house. It was the beating center of an entire civilization, a place where engineering, ecology, tradition, and community melted into one seamless whole, where every block of snow carried the wisdom of generations who came before. And perhaps that is the quiet lesson they left for all of us. They did not conquer the Arctic. They never tried to force it, or defeat it, or bend it to their will. They learned instead to listen to it, to understand it, and in that understanding they turned the harshest place on earth into a home filled with light and voices. Maybe that is what we have forgotten in our age of concrete and steel, that the greatest strength is not domination, but harmony. So if a family living inside a dome of snow could find warmth, meaning, and belonging in the cruelest winter on earth, then perhaps the real shelter was never the snow at all, it was each other. Stay with us and keep listening as we uncover the forgotten wisdom that still has so much to teach us.